Well, I guess we have the answer to what an album would sound like if we had Opeth from like the Candlelight eras bleeding into more of the black gaze, shoegaze, like death metal scene. Yeah, I think we have an answer to that. Keys to a Vanishing Future from Falls of Rauros. Rauros, I think it is. Rauros. I think it's Rauros. We'll find out. So, Falls of Rauros is like an experimental post-metal band from the US, getting their start in the later half of 2005 as a kind of a black metal band as a duo. More of an experimental black metal in that case. Really got their notoriety for writing these longer stretches of music in this very rough, raw style of music. Put out their first album in 2006 with Into the Arcdice, and since then have been pretty prolific in terms of their album outpour. Now, I will be fully upfront in that Keys to a Vanishing Future is the only album of theirs that I've listened to. I haven't actually gone back and listened to any of their other stuff, but yeah, so as I mentioned, they've been pretty prolific in their writing, and this is their 8th studio album. Man, I've been blown away. So, like, as I mentioned, it's very post-metal, very experimental, very, like, black metal, doom metal, but with that shoegaze aspect that I feel like a lot of bands are doing nowadays. It's very raw in their metal approach. Like, I love the growls, I love the screaming, and the mixing of it is done very, very well in that the growls and the screaming doesn't overpower everything, and it's actually quite quiet in the actual mixing and presentation, which really allows for the atmosphere of the black gaze, as I think they've been calling it, really come through and really be the forefront of it. And I'm loving so many tracks on here. Like, I mean, there's only 6 tracks across 45 minutes worth of music that I think is the perfect presentation of the music that's being found on here. It provides such a great snapshot for the music on here, and I'm loving the progressive styles on here. You know, like, it's channeling the best moments of Sunbather from Deaf Haven, or some of the more melodic moments from the, as I mentioned, the Candlelight eras from Opeth. I mean, the album itself opens up with clarity, and I love the presentation, the rhythmic guitars, and like really driving home this really astute, like, grinding force with this overtone of soundscapes. And I mean, the songwriting ship is just top notch. The second track of Desert of Heart might be one of my favorites of this year. Just with, like, we go through about 3.5 minutes of just brutality on here. The drums are bumping, the screams are yelling, the guitars are squealing away, but like right at the 3 minute and 20 minute mark, 3 minutes and 20 second mark, man, we come into this landscape of these keyboards out of nowhere that just ties everything together with such a brilliant and beautiful orchestration of sounds. It's heavenly within so much demonic power that it provides such a, like a burning bright light in this darkening pit that really goes to showcase the like contrasting auras of this band and within this stretch of music. Man, I love that. And I love when a band is able to pull this off very brilliantly. Like, it's easy to provide both, but to provide both in the same song seamlessly is extremely hard to pull off. And man, I am so pleased to hear this. And even with this, they're able to pull off some like really brooding, really dark moments. Like on the third track of Survival Poem, might not necessarily be my favorite. It doesn't quite have that same moment of brilliance that I felt with Clarity or Desert of Heart, but it has that broodingness. It has that raw energy about it that I can't deny. And I love how they're able to cover so much territory in this small amount of time. Like, we come into the second half with Known World Narrows. And I love how it starts off with such a meaty and prominent bass lick that kind of grounds the sound down, but then provides such really tasty licks throughout, and it really does build to a very satisfying crescendo, and we have like a lot of very heavy-handed, very raw moments, and this track is a little bit more subdued, very similar to Survival Poem, but never at that same kind of lethargic moments. It's very alive in that, especially once we get to that ending crescendo that I really appreciate. At almost 8 minutes, it does take its time to really build, and as I mentioned, it covers quite a bit of territory in that time. And talking about a track that covers a lot of territory, Daggers in Floodlight, the fifth track and the longest at almost 8 minutes. Man, it covers a lot. And the thing that I love about this is that dripping mellotron. I love the mellotron on here. I think it has some beautiful crescendoing moments on here that really tie this track together, but it's used like sparingly throughout it, and it knows when to use those moments very, very well and effectively. It's brutal, it's heavy-handed. I enjoy the journey of this more than I think any of the destinations. Like, I definitely love the destinations, like those key moments that I keep bringing back to from Clarity and Desert of Heart. And I don't feel like as though we're getting that within Daggers in Floodlight. But what I love about this is, again, that journey where we're going from one passage to another passage to another. And then the album ends beautifully with Poverty Hymn. And it's probably the most brutal track off of the album. It's the most gripping and raw track off of the album. And I love just how it's able to tie itself together. And I love that guitar lick at the end. Like, the guitar outro on this really does provide a brilliant bow at the end of this project. Yeah, I just fell in love with it by the end of it. So in the end, Keys to a Vanishing Future was a pleasant delight for me. I loved how meaty and how punchy it was. I love those moments of pure brilliance, as I mentioned, and I keep turning back to, from Clarity and Desert of Heart. Love those moments. I love how raw and menacing a lot of those moments are on, like, the survival poem, known for the known world narrows, and the absolute fun journey of Daggers in the Floodlight, and then that raw, brutal power from the closing track of Poverty Hymn. Holy jeez, it provides a brilliant breath of fresh air within a black gaze, black metal, progressive metal, like post-metal outfit. If you're into a brutal metal, you're going to love this, and I really highly suggest you check it out. And I will say, at the end of the day, Keys to a Vanishing Future from Falls of Rauros is one that I would absolutely pick up in physical format. You know, it's one that I want to have in my collection. It's one that I will definitely turn back to. I just fell in love with it, and I think it's a fantastic addition to any person who loves metal music, especially brutal metal. Like, if you're looking for, like, post-metal, extreme metal, like metal that has a lot more teeth in it, I think you're really going to dig this one. So there you go. Those are my thoughts to Keys to a Vanishing Future. What did you think about this album? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Whatever you thought, please let me know by commenting down below. And that's all I've got. If you want to, give me a subscribe, give this album a like, give this review a like, and just have a great day. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.